Hello, students. You're welcome to history class. Today we shall be looking at the end of the Cold War. I know right from the beginning of the Cold War, you would have been wondering when will the war come to an end. But I'm glad to tell you today that we are actually coming to the end of the Cold War. So we are looking at the collapse of USSR and the end of the Cold War today. But before we go into the detail of the lesson, let's quickly look at the objective that all the learners should achieve at the end of the lesson. The first one, briefly analyze the situation in Eastern Europe over couples of years. Second one, identify and explain factors that contributed to the fall of USSR. And lastly, evaluate the role of Gorbachev in the fall of USSR. All right, so the main lesson. Now we can see this is the Berlin Wall that is being destroyed, the fall of Cold War. Now I want you to know that at the start of the Cold War, war was built between the Allies, USA and USSR. And what actually led to the war being built? I made you to understand at that time that the way USA wanted to deal with Germany was different from the way USSR wanted to deal with Germany. And because of that, the two of them had to look for one way or the other to send either USA out of Berlin or USSR out of Berlin. And that was why the wall was built. Now let's look at it. In 1985, USSR got a new leader. And who was the leader? Mind you, USSR had three different leaders, starting from Stalin, now to Gorbachev. Now, Gorbachev became the leader of USSR in 1985. Gorbachev was a realist. Why do I say he was a realist? He saw the situation in USSR. He knew that USSR could not continue in that way. And he knew that there was the need for something to be done urgently to save USSR from collapsing. So he believed in reformation. He also believed that the Cold War had serious effects on USSR economy. He believed that Eastern Europe should be given a level of self-determination. Now, let's look at how he carried out his belief. Gorbachev's decision. The first thing he did when he got to power, he called for meeting. He called for Warsaw Pact countries meeting. And Warsaw Pact had to do with countries that were under the control of the Soviet Union. He called them to a meeting, and then he made it clear to them that they were free to decide their fate. He made it clear to them that they can go ahead with election. Also, the next thing he did was to cut military spending. He discovered that a lot had been spent on military weaponry. And he then said that, for the economy of USSR to become better, then they had to stop the military spending. And the last thing he did was to improve international relations. He became friendly with the USA, even though USA did not take Gorbachev serious, but he was so friendly with USA to improve the international relationship. All right, let's look at the factors that contributed to the final fall of USSR. The first factor is people's power and determination. If you can still remember that in Hungary, people were ready to die for freedom. They were ready to do anything to be free from the control of the Soviet Union. The same thing happened in Czech. The people were ready to die to demand for their freedom. The same thing happened in Poland too. People were ready to die for freedom. The same thing kept repeating itself over the years. So people were determined to get out of the control of USSR. Mind you, also, the spending on military weaponry was affecting the economy. The economy was already in shambles. Also, people were facing problems in housing and health sectors. All right. The role of Gorbachev in the collapse of USSR. The first role he played was he granted freedom to Eastern Europe. No, Eastern Europe was the country that came directly under the control of USSR. He granted them freedom. Another thing is that he stopped the military spending, huge military spending. And another thing is that he focused on the economy instead of focusing on the military. And lastly, he entered into peace talk with USA. Till today, in USSR, they saw him as an individual who betrayed them. But in USA, they saw him as an hero. I know with this, we have had enough insight into what we shall be learning in our Google Classroom. Meet you there.